This is Jilliana Ranicar-Breese, and this is part 3 of my interview with Laura-Doe. Now, Laura, how did you get to be a sex educator?
Well,
Because you were in computers.
I was definitely in computers, and I had tried several times actually to get myself out of computers. The first time I was really over computing and teaching about computers, I then discovered the internet.
What year would that be, do you think?
That was in the late 80s. I think it was actually 86. Is that possible?
I don't know.
Or have I got my decades wrong? Let's do a quick calculation. Okay, no, more. Yeah, it would still be in the late 80s, I think.
Okay. Give or take.
Give or take, yes. And the internet was just beginning. So if I've got that date wrong, it's whenever the internet was just beginning.
Yeah, well, it's official. We could Google it, yes.
Yes. Maybe it was more like the mid-90s, actually. It was probably the mid-90s.
Okay.
Anyhow, as I was a computer geek, a friend of mine said, oh, come and look at what I'm doing. I've got a website.
What's a website?
And he showed me his website, which was very arty and very beautiful for those days. And he showed me the internet, and I had a
blown
bit
away
of an epiphany. Yes, I was like, oh,
you had an orgasm.
God.
You had a computer orgasm.
I did. I just thought,
epiphany,
wow, this is a medium that we've not seen
the
before.
Future.
It's the medium of the future. It's the way of communicating with the world. And what I also saw very clearly was that if you put information about what you were passionate about, this was a place to get that information out. By that time I was living in the Byron Bay area, and I was also aware that we had a unique culture in the Byron area with lots of interesting people doing interesting things.
Is that an arty area?
It's arty, it's creative, it's
near
forward
Sydney?
thinking.
I don't know where it is.
No, it's in on the east coast of Australia, just about 2 hours below Brisbane in northern New South Wales, with a bump on the right-hand side, if you like.
Okay.
But very alternative, very interesting, very creative. And I saw the internet as an opportunity for the creative people of Byron area to get their work and their message out to the world.
Is that where you're still living?
It is.
Okay.
It is home, where I call home. And so I got inspired. At that time, I had just become really interested in myself as a female being. I'd started to sit in women's circles and found a lot of nourishment in sharing my story with other women and hearing the story of other women and discovering that a lot of the things I had thought were kind of unique and peculiar about me were actually just part of being a woman. So I wanted to create a place on the internet which was focused on the feminine, and it was my vision was to create a sort of cyber circle for those people like me who were women or people with vulvas, but who were interested in technology.
So a forum.
A forum, a kind of website that was feminine in its energy and in its focus, because everything I saw was very masculine in that technological world.
So is this your yoni.com?
Yes. And I've got the domain name yoni.com,
right,
because, as we've already spoken, I was interested in sexuality. One thing, if anything, people knew about the internet was a repository for pornography.
Right.
So I thought, okay, I'm going to create...
Was it a closed group?
No.
Public
It was
group.
a public website. It was a website that I created. And it was one of the very first female-oriented websites.
Okay.
And I wanted to call it yoni.com because I wanted to possibly provide an alternative, a more informed alternative about all things female, I love the word yoni because it means the female reproductive system, but it also has all these beautiful connotations of gateway to the cosmos, sacred place. And it's so different to so many of the other words for our genitalia, which all have many of them have negative connotations. So I wanted to use that word. I wanted to create it as a website which was about all of the feminine. It was truly a gateway to the feminine, my growing understandings of the different aspects of the feminine in me and in other women. But also to have my hobby of finding out about sexuality, so that possibly I might present to someone looking for porn an alternative view about female sexuality. So yoni.com was born, and that
was your new baby.
That was my new baby. This was before I had a physical baby, my first creative baby. And as a result, a lot of things came to me. People saw me on the internet and said, oh, why don't you sell this product? Or why don't you? So a local friend of mine was doing...
What sort of product?
She was producing menstrual pads, which was quite novel in those days. And I sold them for her through my little shop on yoni.com. And it actually resulted in her making a big business in Japan.
Wow.
And she's now got her own website and so on.
Yeah.
But then another woman sent me her vulva puppets. She said, you should be selling my vulva puppets on yoni.com. And I was like, okay, so I should.
Anything goes?
Yes. And these were fabulous fabric puppets.
And that inspired you to do your own vulva.
It did indeed.
I don't know what you call them. What do you call your vulvas?
I call them vulvalicious cushions.
Vulvalicious cushions,
yes.
That's right. Which we'll do in another video.
We'll look at later. But what was also great about having all these puppets was it started to create... I'm a bit of a natural comedian.
Was she Australian, this lady?
No, she was Californian. So there I had these puppets, which were kind of chatting to me and chatting to one another. And that started the ball rolling.
Yeah, did you meet the lady?
Show. No, I never met her. Yes.
Are you still in touch with her?
No, we had some differences of opinion down the track. Because she objected to me using her puppets. She wanted royalties and product placement fees, and she wanted to... I thought this was a great way of generating interest in her puppets.
She got greedy.
But she got... It became a problem, which actually then led me to create my own style of vulva representations, which actually have more all of the arousal structures within them. So they're very detailed and are designed so that people can use them as fully functional sex education tools.
I mean, do you go into schools with your vulvas, your vulva cushions?
I have not gone into schools. I have attempted to provide and have provided sex education around schools. It's tricky for schools. I do understand that it only takes one disturbed parent who is uncomfortable with their own sexual world to create an issue. But what I have done, and I am about to do actually, I do a lot of work at the university in Oxford where I'm based at the moment. I give talks. I'm about to do a fortnight of talks with mainly young women at Oxford University.
And when will that be?
Each different college invites me to their own college, so over the next fortnight I'm offering a number of talks to the young people called Absolutely Vulvalicious, I call them.
Vulvalicious. And is this free?
It's free for the students. They have, I go in through the JCRs, the Junior Common Rooms. It's usually the welfare reps or the women's reps, and they have a certain amount of funding, so they pay for me to come.
Wonderful.
And they all get to have a feel of the Volvolicious cushions.
Yeah.
Start to understand their anatomy and their arousal possibilities.
Well, we'll continue in the next tranche. Thank you very much, Laura-Doe.
Thank you.